to the Future of Work. In this series, we talk to experts who are moving the needle, innovating, and making a difference in the workplace. I am your host, Jessica Price. I am an assistant professor in corporate health management and well-being, and the program leader of our new bachelor degree in corporate health management and well-being. Today, I am so delighted to welcome, for our first episode, this is an exclusive, we have the one and only Chief Happiness Officer in Luxembourg, Fanny Schlesser. She is the Chief Happiness Officer of the Raiffeisen Bank. And Fanny, we're delighted to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Jessica. I'm also very happy to be here to talk about this very special function of Chief Happiness Officer.
So let's get started. First of all, I want to say that people are so curious about this position. As you are the only one, I'm pretty sure you have been interviewed, asked to do presentations. But I'd like to ask you to describe to us what is it that a Chief Happiness Officer, also CHO, as they are known, at the Raiffeisen Bank do? Or what is your job, basically?
Before I begin to answer, I just wanted to explain that I'm not a Chief Happiness Officer. I'm a Happiness Officer.
Oh, okay.
Why? Because I'm a facilitator, and it's very important that I do not put myself at another level than my colleagues. So you know that if you talk to a chief, you will maybe not be as transparent or maybe not talk about the same things would talk to your colleague. So it's very important to put myself at the same level as my colleagues, and that's why we decided to not call this function Chief Happiness Officer, but just a happiness officer. And I'm really always there for my colleagues.
Point taken.
To come back to your question, so as happiness officer, I do a lot at Banque Raiffeisen, but whatever I do it for my colleagues. They are my absolute priority, my priority number one. My main goal is to motivate them, because the more they are motivated, the more they are engaged. And the more they are engaged, the more performant they are and the more revenue they bring. Everything is always about money, right? Especially in a company where you have to cover a lot of salary costs. So if you manage to cover your costs and at the same time manage to cover your colleagues' needs, you are in a win-win situation. Give to your employees and they will give it back to you. Your employees are like your gasoline, and without them, you are nothing. If you don't have your employees, you are just a good idea that will never see the light. So it's very, very important to take care of them. I really like Richard Branson, the guy of Virgin, and he said, clients do not come first. Employees come first, because if you take care of your employees, they will take care of your clients. That's a very important point for me as a happiness officer, because my role is really to make employees happy. And I know that if they are happy, they will also make the client happy. And I would also add that your employees are your bridge to success. Maybe to give concrete examples of what I do. So I do a lot of things. I can one day organize a quiz evening to foster exchange between employees and that they learn to know each other in a fun environment, because employees who know each other work better together. So that's also a very important point. Then the other day I can be in a strategic meeting with the CEO of the bank talking about employees' engagement and analyzing the result of our internal engagement survey. And yes, we do engagement surveys and not satisfaction surveys. That's also a very important point.
Perhaps could you tell people the difference? Because that, I don't know if might be self-evident for people.
We used to do satisfaction surveys. And what is very important with satisfaction surveys is just that you will know if your employees are satisfied or not. What is important for Banque Raiffeisen is to know whether employees are engaged or not. Because we know that if people feel engaged or are engaged, they will be more performant. So that's really most important to know if they are engaged more than satisfied, because you can be satisfied without being engaged. So,
yeah, that makes perfect sense. So it's really about creating spaces for people to get something out of work that connects them also more to work to a certain extent, right?
Yes, we at Banque Raiffeisen normally talk about work-life balance, and we talk about work-life integration, because it's very important to not separate your private and your professional life, because even if you are at work, you are a person and you are a person with feelings, emotions, and you are not a robot. It's really important to create an environment, as you said, where people feel at home and they feel comfortable and they feel, valued, loved, that they feel that people are listening to them. They have colleagues that become friends. So there is not really a difference at Raiffeisen. We don't make the difference between work, private and professional lives.
It's been said, actually, according to statistics, that we work a third of our lives. The amount of time that we spend at work, it's a lot, right? In terms of our lives. And so you're very right to say, well, it has to be meaningful at the emotional level. It has to be interpersonally a good experience, and it has to give people positive emotions, right? It has to lead to positive emotions. But tell us a little bit about you. I think people would be very curious to learn, how did you land at this unique position?
With my boss, we decided to implement this function as of January 2020. So begin 2020, before COVID.
I was going to say, did that happen with or in relationship to COVID?
No, not at all, because at that time we really prepared this function end of 2019, so we were not really aware of COVID. And then we were very excited at the beginning of 2020 to start these missions and to start this function. And then there was COVID. Offices empty. So we wanted really to create togetherness, but they said no contact. So that was a very, very, very big challenge. We decided to put in place this function because we really wanted to answer the future needs of the next gen. So it was really to anticipate these needs. Before working as happiness officer, I was working in the communication department. I really love this new challenge because I'm a very human person. I love also communication, and in my job, communication is really also key, because without communication, you cannot connect people. And it's very important to give also the right information. I was in the communication department, and then as happiness officer, I landed in the human resources department.
Yeah, quite a ride, huh? And one thing is not clear for me. Was it your boss's idea, or was it your idea? Or was it a concert of ideas?
My idea was to develop an internal communication, because at Banque Raiffeisen we had no one who really took this function. And in my eyes, it was very, very important. If you really want to good communicate externally, you first have to communicate internally. And then we exchanged, and together we then came to the conclusion that there is much more than just internal communication. It's really about taking care of employees. It's really about creating a community. So it's much more than communication. Internal communication is part of it, but it's just a part of it. And then talked about the name of the function, because happiness officer is, I would say, a function, or the name of the function is not always easy to wear because there is happiness in it. But we decided to really name it happiness officer to really show that it's not just something
out of the world.
Yeah, it's really, this function exists, and we really wanted to name it.
It's happening already, actually.
Yeah, and we really wanted to name it by the real name.
And I think it's a name that resonates because it really connects with positive emotion, positive experience, something that makes work more exciting in a way for those of us that are, just negotiating emotions every day in the workplace. Sometimes you have good days, some other times you have bad moments, and it's really sometimes up and down. And people at the end of the day might find it hard to look back and say, well, that was a good moment, or that was a...
Yeah, and I would even say that it's a word that people understand, so they can connect to. We could have called it like people development, or I don't know what, but it's really more difficult for people to understand what is
jargony title.
Yeah, so here it's really...
But wouldn't excite people as much.
Yeah, that's really straight to the point, so they know exactly what to attend when you call it happiness officer.
Yeah. What is the part of it that's more fun and exciting for you?
I think really that I have the best job in the world, because everything I do, it's always in a positive mood. And I never have to make like bad or sad announcements. So it's always good mood, positive attitude, good vibes. And I'm really every day my mission is really to solve problems, but always in a positive way. Yeah, I really would say that it's the best job in the world, except being mom, of course. But being mom is sometimes more difficult than being a happiness officer, I would say.
So anyway, talking about challenges, I mean, also for moms and for happiness officers, what would you say are the most common challenges that you have faced in the workplace with this position?
I would say the first thing was the name. So happiness officer.
To carry the name, like you are that person that represents the happiness officer.
Exactly. Yeah. Because when there are internal issues, not enough stuff, a lot of stress, and that you come and you say hi, instead of having one more staff, we will have a happiness officers. I can tell you that the first month were very hard, heavy, because this function isn't known in Luxembourg. And so you really have to prove all the time, prove that your function is worth it through real actions. And you have the time, you implement actions and all the events that you organize, everything that you put in place, it takes time to also results. And people nowadays are really focused on results. So I'm just going to believe in it when I see results. And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just to say that there is also a process to results, right? So one has to pay attention to how the process is unfolding so that you can claim results. And I think that's something that you can see with engagement, perhaps, right? That engagement increases before you see the financial outcome of things.
Yes, you cannot start as a happiness officer and say tomorrow you will see. No, it's really, it takes time and it takes 1 year. So for me, it took 1 year.
And it took you one tough year because COVID wasn't an easy year. 2020 wasn't an easy year.
It was a great challenge, but I would say that that's really challenging to implement the function and to be patient. And to tell people, you will see that it's really worth it. So I would say that's the first big challenge. And then as I work for a bank, we have 29 branches. So people are not all at the same place. And that's always challenging because everything I do, it must fit as well as for people of headquarters as for the people in branches, because I don't want that people feel put beside. So we are one team and everything we do, every actions, every initiative has to be really implementable as well as for the headquarters, as well as for the branches.
Yeah. So, And I hear you when you say that every position has to be justified. And I think it's a modern trend. Well, on the other side, we can see that worldwide, also in Luxembourg, stress in the workplace, it's an issue. And you know that chronic stress, when it's just for too long, and it's something I talk about with my students, can lead to burnout. If you have someone with burnout, then you cannot, basically do something with that person anymore until they recover.
Yeah.
And sometimes people change.
So it's too late.
And it's too late. And then people have to decide to leave the job, change the industry. Yeah. So the cost of having chronically stressed employees is way too high. I think companies are realizing that as well.
I do my job now for 4 years and we really see changes. So it really works because we have less sick leaves. Our turnover rate is one of the lowest in Luxembourg.
That's an achievement in itself.
Yeah, so we also have KPIs that prove that it's really working. Also, there are a lot more qualitative CVs that become people are happier, more performance. So it's really, we are one team and we help each other. So it's really great.
Job satisfaction, must have increased as well.
Yes, so we changed from satisfaction survey to engagement surveys, and we really see that most of our employees are really engaged.
Yeah.
They also participate. It's free participation, so you can decide to not participate in the survey, but we have more than 85% of our employees who are participating in these surveys. We really have representative.
Well, I think that kind of answers my next question. My next question was going to be, what's in it for other people in the organization, other managers, other leaders? But if you have already seen these KPIs, I think that's already showing the benefits for other units of the bank, for example.
Yes, I think that for them, what's really into it for them, it's that employees who are happier are more performant. So that's just bonus for manager. But we also implemented leadership program where managers learn how to be good managers. And good managers also lead to happy employees. So it's really also working the way around.
So it's really that's the connection between the work that you do or increasing positive emotions and productivity, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It's through engagement because people just connect more and create more meaning around what they do, and so it really is. Ultimately comes down to the bottom line, as they say, right? It comes down to just higher productivity. But we humans are complex, and getting to productivity is not just about paying a good salary, right?
Yeah. Yes, there are a lot of studies that showed that there are a lot of people whose first criteria, I would say, to join a company is not salary, but it's really the fact that they find a workplace where they fit in, they are valued, and they can also exchange ideas and really be part of it. So that's...
And also that they care for their well-being as human beings, right? That they're not seen as a robot, as just another piece in the big machinery, the corporate machinery, but they're seen as humans, as individuals, and their emotions are seen.
We always talk about the Raffeisen family. So it's very important, as I said, to this work-life integration. You, at your workplace, you want to have the same feelings that you can have at home. And so you need to have this family environment and to create this family environment. And each member of the family is important. And you have mother and a father who are guiding you, who are giving you good advices. But it's always in the two ways around, because the children, the younger people that are working for Banque Raiffeisen will also explain then to the older ones the new technologies or the new ways of thinking. And so it's really an exchange as in a real family.
The last time I heard you talk, you mentioned a very interesting activity that you do that's called Thank God It's Monday. Would you like to tell us about Thank God It's Monday?
Yes, I think that most of people know the Thank God It's Friday because last day of the week, work week, now enjoy the weekend. So we created the Thank God It's Monday because on Monday we love to go back to work. And every month, the first Monday in the month, we do something special to say thank you to our employees. Sometimes they become a present. We also do contests where then employees can participate and win like
little games.
Bicycle. Yeah, exactly.
Just fun, having fun then.
Yeah, and then we also have a lot of events that we do where the management board is also participating. For example, they are then organizing or making pancakes for...
Oh, that's great.
For the employees, also to show that there is no barrier between the management board and the other employees. Is really to show that they are normal people and they also want to be part of this community. When we do...
It's also good psychologically for them not to feel so isolated as the head of or the director of, they feel more like part of the community.
Yeah, and they have to be part of the community because it's only if you're part of the community that you also see when there is something that is not working and that you can then also react to these problems. As a happiness officer, I'm also the bridge between the management board and the other employees. For example, the management board is also our staff when we organize internal events. They are going through people and asking them what they want to drink. So it's
That's
really
great.
the way around, but it's really to show that they are also part of it.
Okay. What would you say that people get wrong about what chief happiness officers or happiness officers do? What's the big mistake or the myth that you would like to debunk right now?
So one day someone asked me if I have installed a baby foot, like the game, you know what it is or not? Or how do you call it?
I think
Kika.
Maybe like a mini football, maybe like a
mini
table football or something like that.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So they asked me if I have installed it because as a happiness officer, the first thing apparently that you do is install a mini foot or a baby foot.
That's crazy. I never heard that.
Yeah, we do not have any baby foot at Banque Raiffeisen. And then they also asked me if I eat quinoa. Because they imagine that a happiness officer is a very healthy person who is just eating quinoa.
My goodness, I don't connect necessarily quinoa with happiness, but there you go.
But that's really like
it's a stereotype in a way, right?
It's a stereotype. And then I always answer, but no, it's one of the most important strategic function of the company. And then they are like a little bit shocked because they don't really understand. But there is a real correlation between happiness and productivity. So, it's a strategic function.
I wonder whether it's also a confusion that with happiness, we think of pleasure always. So that part of happiness. So it's a more hedonistic view of happiness as opposed to perhaps meaning and purpose and community that we would associate more with well-being. But you wouldn't be called then not happiness officer, but well-being officer. But that would still have a very different feeling, I guess, right?
Yes, I think that well-being is also part of it. So it's also very, very important.
There's a complication of terms with happiness and well-being, and
I think that people in higher positions are very afraid of everything is called well-being, happiness, because for them it's like voodoo. It's not something very concrete where you can have results, and they really want to see the results. But here it's really a function that where you have all these different parts, and it really makes a difference.
I think that, and of course, this is something we talk with my students in class. With the advent of positive psychology, which is really the part of psychology or the area of psychology that focuses on how to live a better life, how to flourish, how to succeed, and how to lead a more satisfactory life in general. We see now more concrete data that can be used, and I'm pretty sure that you're already demonstrating with your results that, this is not woo-woo or voodoo or something. But then again, it's true that you are the only one in Luxembourg with this position. And of course, I imagine that there might be some prejudices and assumptions there that some people might be thinking, well, do we really want to make this investment? Does it really make sense? It's just going to be fun games and no concrete results. So what do you think could open the way in Luxembourg to have more companies considering hiring a happiness officer or a chief happiness officer?
We at Banque Raiffeisen, we talk a lot about what we do internally for our employees. And I think that we also show the results. It's very important. And they also see that they are losing a lot of employees who come to Banque Raiffeisen because of what we do for employees.
Other banks are losing. Yeah. There you go.
So that's one part. But I would say it's very sad to say, but I think that one day the mental health of their employees will be so bad that they will not have any choice anymore. So they will search for solutions. And one of the solutions is to have a person internally who is really focusing on their mental health. And normally when you are in front of a wall, you start to react. But sometimes it's also too late. So it's very important, as we did, we really wanted to anticipate all these issues and also the issues of the next generation, because next generation has other expectations. They had COVID, they had a war in Ukraine, they had a lot of economical crisis, financial crisis, world crisis. So the world is very sad and people want and need happiness, and even at workplace, because we don't know what will come tomorrow because of everything we had until now. And this generation really wants to live now and not tomorrow. So they really want to enjoy life now and not just work 8 hours a day and be unhappy, but it's for a good cause, because maybe in some years they will then achieve something. No.
And I think really one of the legacies of COVID is that more people, especially young people, started talking about mental health. much more openly that it was in my time. And I see that young people really ask these questions of, what are not only the financial aspects of the job, but also what's the environment like? Will I be seen? Will I be respected? Will I grow? Will I have a community? Will I be accepted as I am? So it's just a new zeitgeist. It's a new time in the workplace. And some companies are having a bit of a hard time accepting that they need to catch up with time.
Yeah, and nowadays, new generations are communicaholic. So they really need to communicate, to exchange, to have a community. And so it's also important for them to find that at their workplace.
I think we're all communicaholics now, right? Because we're listening to each other more. We're looking for more information. We're sometimes swamped in information. And so it's really important for companies, I believe, to have a communication strategy that really makes sense and that engages people. And I know you're doing communication work as well.
Yes, I'm also head of corporate communication. It's, I would say, really interesting because I can really see the link between communicating externally and communicating internally. Because nowadays, what is important for a brand or a company is to be loved. And most of the time, you touch and clients emotionally by showing that you are human. For me, it's very easy to show that Banque Raiffeisen is a human bank because it is really a human bank. And just by showing what we do internally and to put really our employees in the center of our interests, it's really showing that we care, and we not only care for our employees, but we also, through this way, care about our clients, and we really show that we are a human bank. I think that my position as happiness officer makes my position as head of corporate communication easier.
You said a while back that you see yourself as a very human person, right? And we've been talking about just creating that bond, that connection, and also communicating that, not just living it, but also talking about it, sharing it. And just makes me think that there are certain qualities that, personal qualities, personality driven, if you so want, that would make some particular type of people better suited for this type of position. So what kinds of qualities do you think people should have if they ever want to be a happiness officer?
I would say that the first quality that you must have is that you are a human people, but that you listen. You not just talk, but first listen. You have to listen to people. You have to understand what's the problem to afterwards find a solution. Because the first thing that you have to do as a happiness officer is to listen and to understand what are the needs of the employees, because every company is different and every employee is different, and the employees of our company probably have not the same needs than in another company. So first thing to do is really to listen. And then what's also very important is to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, because
empathy.
Yeah,
being empathic,
empathy
absolutely.
is very, very important. I'm a very happy person. So I do not need someone who is motivating me because I am always motivated. I'm a very happy person, and it's very important also to understand that there are people that can also not be happy.
Absolutely.
Or think differently or have different problems, priorities. So it's very important to listen and to put yourself in someone else's shoes, because they have also other missions. They have other family issues. They work maybe at the border or whatever. So it's really important to listen and to put yourself in their shoes. And then you will have, when you listen, you will be faced with a lot of different problems. So what you also have to do and to be able to do is, or to be very solution driven. So there is always be positive and try to find, there are no problems. There are just solutions that you, of course, will find together with the people. Yeah. And then I would say, of course, you have to be a very social person, a human, and you show your emotions because you want others to show their emotion and to share some issues that they have with you. Then you have to show that you are just a normal person.
Yeah. And a normal, special way. I was thinking it's just innate curiosity to really be curious about the other in the way that you want to learn more about the other, you want to understand the other better, and you want to find solutions. And I love that because good psychological coping means being proactive. So proactively finding solutions. It's a wonderful way to be there for people as well.
University, I did master degree in marketing and strategic intelligence, so nothing to do with psychology. But my mother is a psychologist.
Oh, there you
and
go.
My stepfather too. So it's really
it's in the family.
It's in the family. So I've learned it through my parents, but I think it's a very, very important part.
Yeah, I think so because it's one of the key elements, right? To really understand behavior and emotion and the role that it plays in life. Just realized the timing is coming short. So I'm going to ask you the last question.
Yes.
Well, Fanny, as you know, I am the program leader of a new bachelor degree here at LUNEX. It's called the Corporate Health Management and Wellbeing Bachelor. And I'm so proud of it because we're really trying to incorporate different areas of knowledge and building a really multicultural and multidisciplinary program that really makes sense for the young professional that wants to go out in the world and really make a difference. Mm-hmm. And of course, one of the positions that I know my students would love to have, would love to hold one day is to be a chief happiness officer. I think they would love the chief part, but also a happiness officer, right? So what advice would you give them if you can think of any?
I would tell them that they are the change. Before 2020, we at Banque Raiffeisen had no happiness officer. So you just have to convince and explain the benefits to the right person. And I would be very, very happy to have more happiness officers in Luxembourg to exchange also and to exchange about best practices and what they did, what they implemented, what's working, what's not working, what are their issues. So to really exchange. I think that, the function of happiness officer is not very known in Luxembourg yet, but I really hope, and that will be their challenges, is to very develop this function. And I really hope to see and exchange with you soon. So I'm waiting for you.
And I would say to my students, we're waiting for you to graduate, go out in the world and contribute to make the workplace a better place. Fanny, thank you so much for the time that you have given us.
Thank you for having me.
Your insight and your reflections. We are excited that now we're going to keep hearing from you. We're going to take you to talk to our students. So thank you so much, Fanny.
Thank you too. Thank you.